So we've all got our favourite fatalities, but I thought it would be interesting to see how it would turn out if you posed it as a question on a first date. What's your favourite fatality? And I'd rate the answers. This little video is really about that hypothetical situation where we find ourselves in a date context. Think of your favourite restaurant, think of your favourite fun fair, and you ask them, you know, what's your favourite fatality? Talk to me, baby. Finish him. We all remember fatalities from the Mortal Kombat games. In fact, the fatalities were my favourite moments of the game, given their gore and their gruesomeness, and of course their ability to rub the other player's face in your hopefully flawless victory. So usually your opponent would be, well, just about to die, and they do that kind of stunned move, and your character would be a short distance away from the other player about to do the fatal move to finish him or her. Apparently the inspo for many of the fatalities came from Japanese action movies. I kind of always loved Kai, not in that way, for his minimal dress sense and gameplay. I loved his stripped down kind of normcore outfit, you know, vest and trousers, or sometimes no vest at all, showing off his awesome tattoos. So for his fatality, he kind of just picked you up and ripped you in half. If your date says that's his favourite fatality, it's probably time to get out of there, get the bill and go home on your own quickly. Ask for Angela. That said, I'd give Kai's fatality, for its simplicity and effectiveness, a 6 out of 10. I mean, it was kind of visually pleasing, but a little bit boring. Maybe a bit like your date. Get over here. This is one of the character Scorpion's best ad-libs. Scorpion's fatality was really cool, actually. He just breathed fire all over his opponent, and the opponent just walks around in a circle in fire for a moment. Scorpion wins. Fatality. So if your date's favourite fatality was Scorpion's fire-breathing pussy, they're probably a bit of a keeper, as Scorpion was a powerful character and actually one of my favourites to play. But be warned, it could be a somewhat basic choice. So yeah, if they specify the fire-breathing, it's strong, it's solid, and classic. So yeah, maybe that's something you want from your date, or maybe it's not. I'd say this answer would probably get a 7 out of 10, and I would probably continue the date. However, Scorpion does have another fatality, and this is where he turns into this massive scorpion and pierces the opponent with the spear-like end of his scorpion tail. Obviously, your date here is giving a animalistic answer that's potentially full of venom. I would say watch out for this one. The Scorpion fatality answer would get a strong 8.5 out of 10. So this type of fatality is also what's known in Mortal Kombat lore as an Animality. So this is where your player turns into an animal to perform the final fatality. The Animality was first debuted in Mortal Kombat 3 in 1995. In order to perform the Animality, the player must grant the opponent mercy, and this actually revives the opponent a bit. So the opponent could actually even win the game. However, if they don't manage to revive themselves, you can obviously finish them off with a fatality. And that can be an animality by virtue of the fact that you have granted them mercy in the match. If your date mentions the mercy move / caveat, I would be inclined to say they are into playing games, not just video games, or they're just simply a sadist. So whatever floats your boat, really. Either continue the date or go home on your own. Liu Kang. So talking of awesome animalities, Liu Kang just transforms into this massive dragon and tears the head off the opponent after like swinging it all around and then eventually just slamming it down on the ground. It was so dramatic. I loved it. So Liu Kang's dragon, if this is the answer, I would say a 9 out of 10 for the clear eye that your date has for aesthetic. But dragons being dragons, they might not even exist. I would tread with caution with this person. Raiden is a really nice, unique player in the series, obviously with his lightning rod, like his whole thing was electricity. In his fatality, he stabs you with his lightning rod and electrocutes you until you explode into a million pieces. Personally, I found it boring and gimmicky. So yeah, probably wouldn't have continued the date if they had said Raiden's fatality, and it would probably get a thumbs down and a mere 4.5 out of 10 from me. Shinnok. Actually, low-key one of my favourite players in the game. He always seemed to be more powerful. However, this could have just been in my imagination. He was kind of mystical and weird, and he had just kind of really odd dress sense. Anyway, in Shinnok's fatality, he just kind of dissolves into the ground and comes back out of the ground as two skeleton hands, which either clap the opponent to death in the fatality or grab the opponent and squeeze him to death by shaking him hard. And then the hand just kind of melts underground, and the opponent's gone. Shinnok, I mean, it was enchanted. A strong 7 out of 10, if only because they chose Shinnok, who I thought was always a slightly underrated character. In Mortal Kombat 2, there was a lot of dismemberment. There was allegedly a small skeleton figurine which was used for animating the fatalities. So the team would animate this small skeleton figure using stop motion whilst adding fiery effects. Very sadly, the figurine is said to have been destroyed from the constant bending, the only remnant existing being the arm, which was the main part used for Mortal Kombat 2's burning animation. I wonder who has that arm actually. Could be very collectible. I really loved Reptile, not in that way, who in his fatality kind of devours his opponent a bit like a praying mantis would, but really quickly, and the way he does it is like really gross and eerie, and vomits kind of like acidic poison onto the opponent. So the opponent is just left on the ground, absolutely de-skinned, covered in blood, in like this kind of Jesus on a cross shape. And it's actually really disturbing as the camera kind of zooms out and you see the opponent lying there. Yeah, you feel for him. The date that cites Reptile's finishing move, I'd probably pay the bill. It shows a troubled mind, the keen insect eye. 8 out of 10. Other famous finishes in the Mortal Kombat series include the Quit-ality. Is so good. This was the fatality that was designed to mock rage quitting. And rage quitting, for those of you who don't know, is when you can't be bothered to go any further because you're losing and you're just getting really, really annoyed and you decide to just throw down the pad and leave the room. No, not cool at all. So if either player rage quits or quits in the middle of a match, then their head instantly explodes, which gives the other player who didn't quit instant glory, even if they didn't get to see out the game, which I thought was a really good way to punish rage quitters. I like this answer. It shows a fighting spirit because rage quitting is unforgivable. The Quit-ality, I mean, it's not a character specific fatality, but I like the presence of mind to hark to the wider gameplay. I mean, who would say the Quit-ality is their favorite fatality? No one. So yeah, top marks for individuality of their chosen fatality. I'd say a 6.5 out of 10 for the Quit-ality answer. Continue the date. Plus, it shows a fighting spirit. These kind of people see things through. Oh god, this is great. The Ferg-ality. So this is a finisher performed by Raiden in Mortal Kombat 2, where the defeated character turns into a probe limited employee known as Fergus McGovern, who worked on that port of the game. If your date gives this as an answer, they are a massive geek that you should cherish forever as an acquaintance at the very least. The Hara Kiri. Okay, so this is the anti-fatality. If your date chooses the Hara Kiri as their favourite ever Mortal Kombat fatality, you found the one. Now finish him! Hara Kiri means belly cut in Japanese, and I believe it's a type of ritualistic suicide, usually performed by Japanese warriors who have brought shame on their family, so they will voluntarily slit their bellies and bleed to death. So in Mortal Kombat, the defeated player will kill themselves at the end of the last match instead of being defeated by their opponent. And it's the only move in the whole Mortal Kombat series where the defeated player is allowed to defeat themselves. So this still results in the winner winning, but for the loser, it's an incredibly stylish way to go out. Hara Kiri, I mean, like I said, it's marriage material all the way home because it shows that your date knows that one's biggest opponent in life is ourselves. 10 points. After all, our worst fought battles exist in our minds. Finish the date, pay the bill. I'd pay the bill and complete the date. So what was my personal fave? Well, obviously it was Tanya. Legs around the neck and I guess that's his moment to politely thank me for paying the bill and leave. Or the other one, the kiss of death, where Tanya walks up to the opponent, kisses them, and watches while the opponent flies up into the air and their elbows and arms and legs just bend and contort at these really horrific angles. So I guess the only question that remains is, what was your favourite fatality? Come on, everyone's got a favourite. Don't be shy.